In the last unit, we talked about scale interval formulas, and specifically the interval formula for the major scale. Remember, the interval formula for the major scale is whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. In this unit, we'll discuss the formula for the natural minor scale and also the minor pentatonic scale. Now first, let's make something really clear. There are several scales that we call minor scales, but first we'll be talking about the natural minor scale. It will be our point of departure for all the other minor scales. The natural minor scale uses all 7 letters of the musical alphabet. It's often compared to and created by lowering 3 scale degrees of the major scale. But first, we'll learn how to construct the natural minor scale with its own specific interval formula. The natural minor scale formula is between the first and second scale degree, a whole step. Between the second and third scale degree, a half step. Between the third and fourth scale degrees, a whole step. Between the fourth and fifth scale degrees, a whole step. Between the fifth and sixth scale degrees, a half step. Between the sixth and seventh scale degrees, a whole step. And between the seventh and eighth scale degrees, or the octave, another whole step. So that's whole, half, whole, whole, half, whole, whole. The major scale formula is whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. And the natural minor scale formula is whole, half, whole, half, whole. Commit that to memory as soon as possible. These formulas will be critical in all of our upcoming discussions of scales and modes. Next, we'll number or label the scale degrees in sort of a comparison to the major scale. This will help us remember it and understand the difference between the worlds of major and minor. Because the third, sixth, and seventh scale degrees of the natural minor scale are 1/2 step lower than those in the major scale, we refer to them as flat 3, flat 6, and flat 7. Some theory teachers prefer the more accurate terms, lowered third instead of flat 3, lowered 6 instead of flat 6, and lowered 7th instead of flat 7. We'll use the more common flat 3, flat 6, and flat 7 because that's really how musicians speak out in the world. Next, let's move on to the minor pentatonic scale. Do you remember how we derived the major pentatonic scale from the major scale? We removed the 4th and 7th scale degrees from the major scale, leaving just the 5 notes of the major pentatonic scale plus the octave. We'll use the same kind of method to derive the minor pentatonic scale from the natural minor scale. The minor pentatonic scale has 5 notes plus the octave. It's most easily understood by taking the natural minor scale and removing 2 scale degrees, the 2 and the flat 6. The remaining notes and their identifying numbers remain the same because the numbers refer to the intervallic relationship with the tonic, not the numerical order of the notes. The minor pentatonic scale degrees are numbered as follows: 1, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 7, and octave. We are only 3 units into our study of theory, and we've established a very important foundation to build on moving forward. So what should you have learned in this unit? There are many scales that we call minor scales, but the one we'll start with is the natural minor scale, and its formula is whole, half, whole, half, whole. And we learned about the minor pentatonic scale. We can most easily understand the minor pentatonic scale by removing 2 scale degrees from the natural minor scale, and those 2 scale degrees are the second and the flat 6. We now understand the foundations for major tonalities and minor tonalities. What distinguishes major tonalities from minor tonalities? It's the third. Major tonalities have a major third, and minor tonalities have a minor third, also known as flat third. We will spend a lot of time discussing intervals like major and minor thirds very soon, but for now, just know the difference in major and minor sounds is the third. We're starting to get into the meat of this. In the next unit, we'll start learning about key signatures. We'll see you in the next unit.